On today's episode of That Mental Ginger Show, we are talking to comedian Adele Birkmyre. Well, starting to get my flow back with the interviews, I think. And it's also because I'm feeling a bit more comfortable again. And Adele is a brilliant person, so lovely, a great story to tell, bit of an emotional story as well. But those are always the ones that we need to give us that wee bit of hope to get through the tough times. And I know we're all going through them right now. So let's kick back and watch a great interview.
All right, troops.
Adele, brilliant to see you again. How are you getting on?
Not bad. Hiya, great. Aye, doing really well, thanks.
Yep. First of all, I also want to say congratulations on your Fringe run. I heard it was a real success. I'm just sorry I couldn't get through because we were getting absolutely snowed under in my day job at the time. But I heard nothing but good things, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of your stand-up going forward.
Oh, thank you. Aye, it was amazing. Honestly, the love and support for everybody was fantastic. It was brilliant. I loved every minute. It was great.
Was that your first time doing the Fringe, or have you done it before?
No, that was the first time. Well, my kids got me a comedy course in 2019, and I did like a sort of 8-minute stand-up graduation show, and
nice.
They never did anything else after that.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's probably a great segue to lead into the origin story of yourself, because the one thing we've all got in common is that we all have an origins. So Adele, for my audience, please tell us your origin story.
So I grew up in Mayfield 48 years ago. And God, just see when you need to talk about yourself, it's quite hard.
I know, that's why I love being the presenter. I'm like, okay, you tell me. But, you know, it's my job to make you feel comfortable to do it. So you grew up in Mayfield, and what was it like growing up through there? And for anybody that's international, whereabouts is Mayfield?
So Mayfield's Mayfield Dalkeith. It's about 8 miles from Edinburgh. It was great, Ken. Really, it's funny because I've actually wrote a show, and a lot of the show is actually about getting growing up in Mayfield and just all the fun things that we did. That was kind of like crazy, but seemed really normal. Seemed really normal to us at the time, but couldn't imagine like my kids or my nieces and nephews doing it. But really good fun times. Just Mayfield's a right community place where it's amazing to walk down the street and everybody knows who you are, and it's a real friendly place, and a great, like I say, a great sense of community. I would never hear anything ever bad said about Mayfield, because it is such a kind of place where folk would give you their last, even though they've not got much themselves. That's the kind of place it is.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that you got away with some crazy stuff that you wouldn't imagine your kids doing. So let's go to that place. What's the craziest thing that you done back then that your kids will watch later and go, "Oh, Ma, why did you say that?"
No, just like things that seem so dangerous. Like I remember we used to like build ramps. We used to have BMX bikes, right?
Yeah.
And we used to build all these bricks, and God knows where these bricks came from, but they always just seemed to be lying about. And we used to like build these bricks really high, and then you'd get like a solid piece of wood, and you'd make this ramp. And basically this ramp, you had to like cycle up to the top of the hill, right? And your mates would be like, right, it's cool to go. And so you'd cycle down this hill really, really fast, and you'd be crossing over a road that like cars would go across. And then also before you did this, like your mates would all draw this short straw.
Yeah.
And it would be like, all yous would be lying down right next to this ramp. And the longer your straw was, the furthest away you got for the ramp. So then you would, like, your mates would tell you to go, and you'd cycle down this hill, cross through this road, jump the ramp, and you'd maybe have like 5 pals all lying down flat. And you can, if you were the yin lying furthest away for the ramp, that somebody
Oh
was going to
no.
land on you with their bike, eh? It's just
Oh
mental,
man.
like, just,
It's
aye,
crazy
daft
though, like
things.
how you think about those type of things. Like, and you think, oh, I would not want my kids doing that.
Oh,
Like
no.
at our bit, it was always, you'd always get the big containers that always had things for scaffolding for building up the flats and that, or doing the
Aye.
repairs on them. So we climb those containers and like just like run and jump off them to see how far we'd go. And I'm like, if I ever caught my kids on that, like when they're older, I'd fucking kill them. Like,
Honestly, it's
like
mental,
I
eh?
would get like that big long cane that they use for getting people off the stage and just hike them straight back into the house.
Again, it's mental, eh? Honestly. I
Yeah.
remember even like we used to sit on the garage roofs where you what you're saying. And I mind
Mm-hmm.
one time we found 10 cigarettes, right, all sealed up in a packet and decided to smoke them. And I think I was about 12. And we're all sitting up in these garage roofs smoking. And you just think, like, what if they had
Yep.
caved in? And just like
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying, we used to jump off them and see how far you could go. And can you're talking about things that are maybe 15 feet high?
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, I've got you beat with the smoking. I was 8 when I tried my first cigarette.
Oh, it's crazy, eh?
Well, because I had no pals my own age, it was all, and my mom and dad were like, get out of our house, go hang out with your brother and his mates, and they were all older than me, so they were all starting like with the smoking and the drinking and that, and just someone just had a cigarette and was like, "Want to try it?" I'm like, "I loved it, absolutely loved it." Well,
Oh,
I was
it's
like, "This is
crazy,
brilliant." I was like,
eh?
so did you ever have like so you were the BMX generation? Did you ever do the skateboarding as well, or did that kind of slip by you?
Well, I remember one time we were at when I think primary six, you had to go, you had to learn how to ski,
Yeah,
and so I was maybe about 10 then, and so learned to ski, and they never really done nothing about it, and then one day, like when I was 14, it was really bad snow, and we've got the Hill End Ski Centre, maybe about 7 miles for us.
yeah,
So phoned up my brother and my sister-in-law and his pal, and we all went skiing. And I never skied on real snow before, eh? And it's
yeah,
really, really fast
yeah.
compared to the artificial sort of grass.
Mm.
And went crashing into the mat at the bottom, broke my ankle, and had to get an ambulance to try and come up to Hill End when there was nothing but black ice. Honestly, it was a
Oh
disaster.
wow.
So put me off snowboarding and skateboarding, and
Yeah.
aye. So
Mm.
sorry, I've just realised that you said skating. I thought you said snowboarding. I'm
Hey, that's
telling you
all
a
right.
story.
Any type of boarding like that seemed to work for it. Like, and in fairness, like I remember doing like dry slope skiing like in primary six when we got sent up to Kilbowie up at that sports centre up there. And
Right.
and I just remember not being able to stop. Like they
Aye.
showed you so many times, it was like bring the skis in like that, and it's meant to slow you down. Did it? Fuck! I just went straight. I went into the barrier skis first, and then went over the barrier because the skis were about like twice the size of me. And I'm like,
Oh,
that was a dumb idea.
I
Well,
can't believe I was telling. I honestly thought you said snowboarding, eh? But aye, we did used to go on our skateboards,
yeah.
and Mayfield's quite hilly,
Mm-hmm.
so like there was a lot of big hills that you were going on when you were like only like about 5. And do you ever remember like hitting a stone with the wheel
Yeah.
of your skateboard, and then you would just it stopped dead, eh? And you just like
Mm-hmm.
carried on for about another 20 feet.
Yeah. I always
Can't
remember like
miss.
I was about 13, 14, and it was that like, it was kind of a resurgence of that skater culture. My mates were brilliant skaters, and I wasn't at all. And we all went down, the Glasgow Queen Street Underground. It had
Aye,
the two escalators on the one side, and then it had the strip in the middle. So I went
aye.
down the bit in the middle, and I was like, I'm going too fast. I need to slow down. And I grabbed the up escalator. I just went flying right back. Well, my mates just apparently just looked like, "Where's Andy?" And they just saw my skateboard just rolling down without me, and me going, "Ow." Didn't stop them carrying on
Honestly,
skating, and I'm like hobbling along with a skateboard in my one good hand, just trying to catch up with them. I'm like, wait for me.
see when you honestly think of the things that honestly we did. Like I remember, I used to have this go kart, and a
Mm-hmm.
guy wanted a shot of my go kart, and he gave me a shot of his bike. And again, I was going flying down this hill, and didn't realise that his brakes weren't working. And oh my God, went and hit a curb and went flying. And used to get the pavements that had like hundreds of stones in them.
Yes.
And my knees just went flying along them. And oh my God, I remember like all the stones were like embedded in my knee. And I had to get taken to the nurse, and she got like a scrubbing brush and like scrubbed these stones out of my knees. Oh my God. And my knees are all scarred to this day, but it's crazy, eh? Like, how are you even alive after that, eh?
I know. I remember my brother went over on his bike once and landed, and like the tip, like the actual like pink of his nail, it totally like snapped. So it was, you know, old school working class fair trade. It was basically get a bit of super glue and just stick it back on and wait and see how it went. Anybody else would be like, what the hell? Like, do you know the substances that are in that glue? No wonder my brother was an alky at 13.
Absolutely magic, eh?
Yeah. Well, we touched a bit on like the stand-up comedy. I wonder how you got into it. Like, so what was your first kind of like your main gig after that?
So after that, I actually got asked to do a charity night that was nothing to do with stand-up. And I got asked just to do like 15 minutes of stand-up. And I went up on the stage, and I wasn't in the right place mentally, and I should never have done it. But I couldn't remember any of my set, and then everybody was just all talking, and everybody's voice was really loud, and a lot of folk were drunk, and I had an absolute meltdown, came off the stage and just burst into tears, and I was like, I'm never ever doing that again in my life. But it wasn't the stand-up, it was where I was mentally in 2019, eh?
Yeah, no, because I remember, for anybody that isn't aware of how Adele and I met, where we were doing some stand-up shows like the Trigger Warnings with Jimmy Longmire, and that was my first time being on a stage in any performing capacity in almost a decade. So I did the first night, and then Jimmy asked me to come back for the second, thinking, right, okay, I'll do it, why not? And I took a panic attack. And from about halfway through my set, I can't remember from then up until I was at home and I was just lying on my wife's lap, just in tears, saying that I felt like a failure. And I was like, wait, how the fuck did I get home? Because I drove that night. I couldn't remember the drive home, and that was terrifying. Because
honestly, Andrew,
not just for me, I was like, what if something happened to somebody out there? Luckily, everyone was okay, but I was like, fucking hell, the panic attacks were just nuts. And it's something they don't tell you about when you have them, that your memory can black out and you don't remember things.
See, I never ever knew like what panic attacks were until I actually had one day years ago. And oh my God, like you just can't breathe. You can't, it's just the scariest thing ever. And see, like that night, like I never knew in 2019 that I was actually having a mental breakdown, and that's what was wrong. And because I couldn't remember anything, and went on the stage, and then when I came off the stage, I just cried and cried and cried, and I just wanted to go home. But my wife knew that if I went home that night, because all my family and friends were there, and my wife knew like that if I went home that night, she would never see me again, because twice that year I'd already tried to take my own life, where I never told a soul, went away, done it, couldn't believe that it never worked. And thank God it didn't work. But the reason it didn't work is because I'm disabled and I suffer from chronic pain. And in 2018-19, I was taking loads of pain medication, more than what I was supposed to, because I wasn't coping with being disabled and coping with the chronic pain 24/7. And all that just led to just an absolute mental breakdown where and my wife wouldn't let me go home that night, and I'd went on the stage about 9 o'clock, and we had to, like, she made me stay for the whole night. And so for the next 3 hours, all I did was sit and cry, and I couldn't believe it. And my mates were coming up and talking to me, and I was just like, oh my God, I just want to die. And God, sorry.
No, it's all right. Just take a
sometimes moment. You can't believe where you've been. And I know. But honestly, I didn't want to be here anymore that night. And I knew like that night, my wife making me stay there, I knew that she saved my life that night.
Yeah.
Although I absolutely hated her at the time, but definitely 100% saved my life.
Yeah, no, definitely. And for myself, knowing what that's like and knowing being in that type of situation where that's the only way out that you see, it's so horrible. And I'm personally so glad that your wife was there to help you with that. Because I mean, I've seen you do your set. I've heard all the great reviews about your comedy and stuff. You're fantastic and you're a great person and you deserve to just keep going and just being the great person that you are. And I'm sure your wife 100% will agree with that, just like my wife would agree with that with me.
It's funny too, because she saved my life, and see, at that time nobody knew like her marriage was over. Wow. Because we were just like, she just couldn't cope anymore, because I just couldn't cope. Ken, like, you were flying off the handle. I just couldn't cope with living with chronic pain, because I'd had an accident when I was 15, and then in 2011, somebody had run into, I used to drive a black cab in Edinburgh, and I was sitting at a red light, and somebody had drove into the back of me, and so basically after that, I was never the same, and I had to like sell my black cab in 2014, and in the first year I didn't work, I cried every day, because I'd worked for I was 12-year-old, and all of a sudden, like, where do I fit into the world? Do you know what I mean? And so it was just years, just everything just coming to a head.
Yeah, I totally get it. I completely understand. It is one of the hardest feelings as well when you don't feel like you fit anywhere. Because we're so used to people like putting us in wee boxes. And then if you don't fit that box in just that right way, it throws you totally out of whack. And you're like, where do I fit? Where's a place where I can fit? And it took me a long time to realize, if you can't fit into that one, get a chisel, carve it a bit for you, because that's where you'll belong. Make your own space. And
definitely.
So for anybody that obviously isn't aware of the kind of chronic pain that you suffer, can you, if you're comfortable, because I don't obviously want to get you upset or anything, this is a safe space, even though like thousands of people watch it, it's still a safe space. If you're comfortable to talk about it, what is like the kind of chronic pain that you suffer, and how do you cope with it now?
So I basically got arthritis in my spine and my lower back, and I've got severe nerve damage in my back, my legs, and my hips. And I get like injections a couple of times a year. I'm on pain medication. But that night that I basically went on the stage on November the 16th, 2019.
It's amazing how it's just those dates are ingrained in your head, aren't they?
So basically, that the next day I said to my wife, right, in all honesty, I says, I either need to make sure I kill myself and I do it 100% right this time, and or I'll go and get help for the last time. So I went to the doctor and I found out about an organisation called the Thistle Foundation, and they're a charity based in Edinburgh, and they basically help people who are disabled, who live with chronic pain, depression, difficult life circumstances, and they basically help people. So I went and I got a referral to Thistle, and they seen me within 4 weeks, and then got like meeting up with a wellbeing practitioner a few times, and then she told me about this lifestyle management course that Thistle did. Went along and couldn't believe the manual that came with that book was like my life story about how you're stuck in a tar pit and you can't get out. Because a lot of people will say that, see, when people are suicidal, they'll say, oh, they're looking for attention, or they're looking for this or that. And know that anybody ever said anything like that. But a lot of people are like, oh, give yourself a shake. And you are in the deepest, darkest hole with no way out. You can't see your family, your friends, your wife, your kids. There's just nothing but but blackness. And for me, taking my own life was like a way out to put everybody out of their misery and myself, and to stop my pain, because I just thought everybody...
It's something people don't realise about suicide, and it's something I always try and drive home. The misconception that people think it's selfish, but in your brain, you think it's the most selfless act that you can do.
Exactly. Aye, 100%.
Yep.
I just thought, you know what, my wife's, she's only young. Ken, she's only like, at the time, she's only in her late 40s. And I thought, Ken, my kids, I just thought they could all be just having a better life without looking after somebody who was disabled. Because people see you on your good days, because you didn't go out on your bad days when you can't walk, or you're having to go to the toilet through the night and you're crawling to the toilet and your wife's having to help you. They didn't see any of that. And then when you're on a night out and you're maybe on your medication, having a wee drink, folk didn't see that, oh, she looks all right, there's nothing wrong with her. And you just like, come and live with me and see what my life's like. And so, sorry, I forgot what we were talking about there. But
no, not at all. But I completely understand that as well. You've always got to put up this kind of public persona around it, and it's one of the things that I really try and break that stigma with doing this. Because some people say to me, like, you shouldn't be talking about like all the bad stuff now that you're doing well with business and that, and I'm like, no, if anything, you need to talk about it more. You need to talk about the days where you're curled up in a ball feeling like a failure because you didn't get what you needed to get done, or you missed a deadline getting an episode out, or whatever like that. And the times that I've had to like say doubting and say to my wife, am I doing the right thing here? I've got kids on the line that I've got to feed and I've got to look after. And the only way you can feel normal is if people grab the mic and say it is normal, because it 100% is. It's totally normal. And the fact that you're able to keep going and do something which I'll really admit, stand-up scares the crap out of me constantly. Constantly terrifies me. And you always, when I saw you, you looked so calm and so confident, and I was like one of those ones like, fuck, I wish I had that confidence, man. I wish I had it.
and you know what, Andrew? Like, so when I went to Thistle and did the lifestyle management course and completed it, one of the wellbeing practitioners was like, would you not like to come along and join Thistle and become a volunteer? And because like, you've at this point, I had dealt with chronic pain for like 33 years, and it's like, they're like, you just know so much about it, like your knowledge and your wisdom. But I was kind of like, what have I got to offer anybody? And then I started doing all the training and stuff, and started like going to lifestyle management courses and helping facilitate them. And I've now been volunteering for over 2 years. And oh my God, it's like, do you know what? You can have wellbeing practitioners who've done all the training and know like all the right things to say and do, but when somebody's coming along to a lifestyle management course and they know that you've been where they've been, and you're talking for past experience, do you know what I mean? Like, they very much can take on board and are even more like try their best to try and get themselves better and help them in their recovery. And it's amazing to see, you know, because I just feel like, see, if I could save one person's life, then what I'm doing is so worthwhile.
Well, and that'll definitely be the case with what you're doing.
If I can stop one family from going through what we went through, and oh my God, and just like, and it helps me. Like, my wife loves when I'm facilitating a lifestyle management course, because she'll be like, do you know what? I feel like it keeps you in a good mental health, and keeps you up to sort of date with everything. And just sometimes I get so emotional when I'm helping facilitate a lifestyle management course, because you start to see the people who've gone through what you've been through getting better, and oh my God, it's amazing to see.
Yeah,
so
it really does feel good to do good, though, doesn't it?
Aye, definitely.
And it's the same deal like why I do the podcast. I always say if I can just get one person to feel a little bit better for half an hour, 40 minutes, it's worth it. And it's worth like the panic attacks before picking up the mic, or worrying about what I'm going to say or what I'm going to talk about, or what's the biggest load of pish I'm going to say next, all that kind of stuff. Oh, am I going to make an arse myself? And it's like, fuck it, make an arse yourself. If it makes someone laugh, fair dues. That kind of deal.
Because it was like me. I mean, so I had been like volunteering for over a year, and then in May 2021, Thistle approached me and asked if they could write my life story, because no my life story, my story about pain. And I was like, aye, no bother. And then they were like, can you become like the Christmas story? And my brother was taking the piss when I was telling him. He's like, I hate to disappoint you, sis, but somebody's already been the Christmas story for the last 2,000 years. And I was like, fuck off.
Please tell me that's in your set.
It isn't actually.
And you've got to put that in your set. That's gold right there.
Well, it was funny because I did put it in the set when I did a charity night with Thistle. But it was funny because I was saying to him, I'm no the Christmas story, I'm fucking Thistle's Christmas story. But it was funny because they were like, right, so we'll get you to do the Christmas story, and then we'd like you to do a charity night. And I was like, aye, no bother. And then they were like, we'd like you to do a comedy charity night. And I was like, no danger. No way. I'm never getting on that stage again. I absolutely fucking hated it. And they were like, aye, but what about your graduation story? Do you know what I mean? Like, that show was amazing. And my mate had put it on YouTube. So they had all seen it, and they were like, Ken, you weren't in the right frame of mind. So you can't like judge that last charity night you did because you were like having a mental breakdown. But I was just like, no way. And then they were like, but you're always saying you'd love to give back. And then that was it. Right, fuck it, we'll do it. I'm like, I don't even ken any comedians to have a charity night. And they're like, we'll get in touch with the guy whose course you did, and see if he can help you. So that's what I did. I got in touch with the guy, and he was like, aye, well, put your story up on my page and just tell people like you run a charity night for the Thistle Foundation and how they've helped you. And God, in no time at all, I had like 8 comedians that were coming to a charity night. And so we had this charity night all organised for the December of 2021. And I'm saying to them, fuck, I've not even done any stand-up since November 2019. So I applied to the Monkey Barrel Comedy Club and asked them if I could do like a wee 5-minute set. And in the November of 2021, so I done like 2 5-minute sets, and then we were doing this charity night at Thistle, and honest to God, I was absolutely shiting myself, right? I was terrified. And I knew nothing about comedy, nothing about how it works. I just kind of had got all these folk to the charity night, and we were having a charity night, and God knows what that looked like, but it was amazing. And they ended up were able to like air the charity night so that my cousin in Australia could see it, my pal in Poland. So it was amazing, But oh my God, and they were like, we were allowed 50 people there. So, because obviously with COVID and stuff, but and then through that, Jimmy Longmuir seen something in me and was like, would you come and do a gig for me? And I'm like, are you kidding me on? And he's like, no, I'd love you to come and do a gig. And I'm like, aye. So that was like the 1st of February 2022. And that was like really my first gig, like out in the sort of comedy circuit, if you like. And absolutely, it's terrifying. And Andrew, you say I look so confident, but it's that thing where your wife really knows what's going on, because she's the one that's like there when you're like, oh my God, when you're doubting yourself and you're saying, no, there's no danger, I can do this, what am I doing? And then one of the things that I learned at Thistle was about belly breathing and meditation. And oh my God, that has helped me every single time on that stage. I'll go away and I'll do all my belly breathing and my mindfulness. And it was funny when we were doing the show at the Fringe, because I was doing it with Jimmy, Craig and Brian. And I would go into a wee cave, because we were doing the stairs and there was 3 like wee alcove caves. And I would go away into my own wee bit. And they're like, is that you away doing your Buddha shit? And I'm like, aye, that's me away doing my Buddha shit, my belly breathing.
But they're like, that you doing your Buddha shit? And I'm like, what, 2 out of 3 of them have been on my fucking podcast. They know it's the mental health stuff. They know that. They've got their own stories. If they don't believe it, look through those episodes and fucking rub them for it.
But honestly, belly breathing is the key to everything. It's so simple, and it's just, we all breathe, but it's teaching yourself how to breathe the right way. And honest, I remember one day my brother came up to the festival to see the show, and I was having a beer, because I never really drink, and not because I've got a drink problem. I'm always kind of like driving to a gig, like in Glasgow, so you can't have a drink. And so because the festival was like 8 miles from my hometown, it was great. Ken, I could get home, no bother. And so my brother's like, are you having that for Dutch courage? I'm saying, no, that's just for enjoyment. The belly breathing's for the Dutch courage, eh? So, it was great.
Brilliant. What? So what gigs you got coming up next, Adele? What? At the time of this recording, it will be going out on the Friday. What? So tell me where you're going from the Friday onwards.
I've got a gig on tonight, Friday the 30th of September, in the Atlantis, and really looking forward to that. I've done a gig there before. Such a lovely crowd, honestly, they're amazing. Just really friendly. Can we? You're just wanting, where folk are just coming along and they're needing a laugh and they're wanting to laugh, and you just need to be able to make them laugh. So really, really nice. And then on Sunday, this Sunday, the club where I had my mental breakdown is my local, called the Mayfield Community Club. I'm actually doing my own show with the fabulous Dee Maxwell.
Oh, brilliant. Dee's awesome. She's absolutely brilliant.
So there's 250 people coming, and Dee's actually opening the show, and then I'm coming on, folk would say headlining it. I'm coming on second. But so it's amazing, because I know a lot of disabled people, and they weren't able to come to the Fringe to see my show because it was doing a steep set of stairs. And I've got a pal who's in an electric wheelchair, and quite a few other people. So this is all accessible, so it's magic. And to be able to just bring a show in my hometown, and like we had a sellout show in like 3 days, and I'm no anybody important, and so there you go. And I was saying to Dee, everybody's coming to see you, and she's like, no, I've only sold so many tickets, and we were just having a laugh. But just the love and support from my hometown. And like when we were at the festival in Edinburgh, we must have had like 500 people come and see the show. And just and this is people who didn't even know or have seen me doing stand-up, didn't even know that I did it. And people who have never even been to the Edinburgh Festival, although it's on their doorstep, and I'd never been to a comedy show, and came along and just had a magic time, eh? So, brilliant. And see, because I had a mental breakdown, I never seen anybody. And then obviously we went into a lockdown, and I was trying to get myself better mentally. So to be able to do this show, when Jimmy asked me to join him and the guys on the show, and to be able to like tell your family and friends about it, and neighbours, and like people all getting together, because a lot of folk haven't seen each other for a few years, eh? And then for them to like meet up with their pals, and it was just like everybody was saying, God, you brought Mayfield to Edinburgh, but it was amazing. It was such a, oh my God, and the love and support, oh my God, amazing.
Yeah, well, I think instead of it being like, oh, you brought Mayfield to Edinburgh, Edinburgh's coming to Mayfield. You know, they're coming to see you. Like, you've worked hard. I love that it's went full circle. Like the place that you went, that you had your breakdown, you're going back, you're headlining it, and I have every confidence you are going to fucking smash it, Adele. Every confidence that you are going to do that. So chuffed for you.
It's quite funny, Andrew, because when you write comedy, right, you're meant to kind of like do a 5-minute set, then build on it to a 10 and a 15 and a 20 and so on. And then I was like, do you know what? People have all been to see the show at the Fringe, and some of the people are coming to the club on Sunday. And so I thought, do you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to write a new show. And, and it's funny because you basically write this show, right? And whenever I've seen comedians like doing an hour show, I'm like, fuck, that's all right. It's just an hour, eh? Oh my God. You didn't ken the blood, sweat, and tears and the weeks and the practice and everything that goes into that 1 hour show is like, so that's been a real eye opener. And trying to remember like an hour show when you're like suffer for chronic pain 24/7, your own pain medication. And then one of the things that's really hard is to sit for any long periods of time. So obviously you're sitting like on a bloody laptop typing all your setup and stuff, and then you go back and go over it and try and make it funnier. And it's been a nightmare, but really proud of myself.
Yeah, and in fairness, like, you've been sitting at a laptop talking to me for almost 40 minutes, and you've been absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
So for the last couple of minutes, the final question I'll ask you, like I ask all my guests, if you could give one piece of advice to anybody that's struggling with mental health at this point in time, what would that piece of advice be, and why?
I would honestly say, try your best to look up about belly breathing. Like, in all honesty, it's so easy to find online. Just type in belly breathing. It's no hard to learn. It's no about having to go away and learn how to do meditation. And I was somebody who was the most stressed out freak you'll ever meet in your life, and worried about the day she never saw. And if I met you or anybody, Andrew, I would have took on their problems as my problems. But I would honestly say, please go online, even go on YouTube. There's a video up of me doing belly breathing, but go on anything and try and learn how to belly breathe, because honest to God, it changed my life. And I can honestly swear to God that I'm now happy with just life itself. I love being alive. It's no my comedy. It's no anything. It's just, I love getting up in the morning and being alive and see what a day's going to bring, because there's so much fun and laughter and good times to be had in life itself. And I never thought that was possible. And please, please learn how to belly breathe, and it would honestly change your life. And everybody I teach it to. Or even if you're struggling, look me up on Facebook and I'll teach you how to do it. There's an offer you can't refuse.
Yep,
free help.
that is the godfather of Mayfield right there. Adele, thank you so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. I can't wait to get to see you doing stand-up again.
Thank you, buddy.
And until next time, my faithful followers, I've been Andrew Durnan. This has been the brilliant Adele Birkmyre. Check her out, any gigs that she's doing, because she's absolutely brilliant. Until next time.
Thanks, guys. Take care. See you later. Right, bye. Bye.